On a summer's day just off the Finchley Road in Swiss Cottage in London, a 17-year-old was murdered, killed in her own home. It caused a sensation at the time, and many people locally will still remember the victim's name, Yiannoulla Yianni. The murder was never solved, but now, with new forensic evidence, tonight, it just might be. Yiannoulla had just left school and was waiting for her exam results. She and her mother used to take lunch to her father, who ran the local cobbler's shop.
Hi, Dad.
They were Greek Cypriots, a close family, but fairly strict, and Yiannoulla rarely went out on her own. Instead, life revolved around the family home in Belsize Road, and this is Yiannoulla dancing with the family 18 years ago. Only once was there any hint of trouble, one evening when they'd gone out for a walk.
We were followed once by this, from what I remember, a Mediterranean-looking fellow. We were out for a walk with my mum, and we noticed him following us from Finchley Road.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, that's really
Ate, Ella.
Maria, I think he fancies you.
How do you know? Maybe he likes Yiannoulla.
Oh, I think he's very
Do
good.
you think we can come back next week and get it?
Darling, I think it's too expensive.
Oh, but it really... Oh, here he is again.
He just waved. What a weirdo.
Oh, no. Look, he's here again. No, come on, girls. We go home.
Mum, what are you scared of? There's three of us.
No, I don't like it. No, come on, we go home now.
What's going on?
August 18 years ago, and this is how he may have aged. Maybe there was an innocent reason for his interest in the family, or maybe not. Who is he?
The day Yiannoulla died was actually Friday the 13th. She'd just gone to my dad's shop to take him some lunch.
Meals on Wheels for Mr. Yianni.
Oh, so much work.
Okay.
Oh, why you don't close the shop and finish what you're doing? Yiannoulla, you go and put the dinner on in the oven, okay, darling? I stay here and help your daddy. He needs me.
Okay. See you later, Dad.
And that's the last they saw of her, because then she just literally walked out the shop, round the corner back to our house, which was probably not more than 4 or 5 minute walk.
Later that Friday lunchtime, a neighbour saw a man turn into her own front path. Then, as he realised his mistake, he went next door to the Yiannis. The family always answered the bell by looking to see who was there. So if Yiannoulla let the visitor in, there's a big chance she knew him. She certainly seemed to like him. A local man who'd always rather fancied Yiannoulla from afar saw Yiannoulla smiling at the visitor. He remembers it clearly because he wished she'd been smiling at him. It wasn't more than 20 minutes later when the parents came back to the house.
They called her, they said we're home, and there was no answer. Mum went upstairs into the bedroom. That's where she found her on the bed. I remember her saying that she'd picked her up and she was crying and her head just dropped. I don't think it's true what they say that time is a great healer, because for me it's literally like we're way back there 18 years ago, day one.
Hello?
I'd never seen my parents like that. I mean, my father, who was very strong, it killed him off, it finished him.
As a parent myself of two girls, I sometimes wonder how on earth I would be able to deal with something like that, and for a child of mine to die in such a way. I mean, she did die a horrific death.
Yiannoulla had struggled with her attacker, had tried to run upstairs, but had been caught and raped and strangled.
to catch him though would I think bring a peace, because it's finished. There's something there that hasn't finished, and hopefully we'll get him this time, and then we can close the chapter.
So, David, your appeal is very simple. Anyone who was interviewed by police 18 years ago on
Yes,
this?
any person who either spoke to police or gave fingerprints for elimination purposes. And that would include people from Caledonian School, the local Greek dance class in Camden Road, and Woolworths, Finchley Road, where she worked part-time.
Or perhaps anybody who's heard anything since?
Yes, any information. It's 18 years since this crime. It's quite possible the killer has confided in somebody else. I would appeal for that person to come forward.
And what about anybody who knew Yiannoulla but hasn't been interviewed by the police?
Anybody who's got information.
Anyone at all who's got any information at all and who knew her?
Yes, that's quite correct, yes.
Now, the guy who was following them, I know it's a very long shot, because actually that was several weeks, if not months, before
Yes.
the attack, but he was rather similar to the guy who was seen at the front door. Very short. 5'4", 5'6", 5'4", yeah, 5'6".
That's right, yeah. 20 to 24, Mediterranean appearance.
So it'd now be 38 to 42.
Yeah.
I should say that aging we showed was done with the National Missing Persons Helpline, who've got tremendous expertise in that. If you think you know who that is, we can help in any other way, or were interviewed at the time, call us now. It's a free call number, 0500 600 600, or the instant room 020 8358 1777.
In 2003, due to advances in technology, a near DNA profile was found on a bedsheet Yiannoulla's body was discovered on, but there was no match on the national DNA database. But on the 30th of December 2015, James Warnock was arrested for possessing indecent images of children. His DNA was taken and it was a match for DNA found on the bedsheet.
Yeah, I went into there's a little shoe shop there, like little repairers. I wanted to get my boots repaired. I had a pair of Dr. Martens.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, can you do anything? And the guy said, no, you can't. I said, they're not bad in condition. I said, but anyway, he couldn't do anything. And there was a young girl in there, we just smiled, and that when he went out, there was a little shop, went in to get some grocery, like drink and that, and I just started chatting. I said, and it sort of started from there.
Okay.
And yeah, that was it. That's how I know her. I know.
Tell me more about hitting it off big time then.
Well, chatting away at first, and that I said I wanted, like we go out and that, and and I think to be quite honest, they were very strict parents, so I don't think she really wanted me to. But then again, I was if not married, I was nearly married, but I was still
living with another lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was that. So yeah, so we used to sometimes we'd have a walk up the road and a kiss and a cuddle, whatever. And yeah, that was that was.
Did it progress?
It did progress, yeah. It did.
Tell me more about that then.
Without going, well, it did progress because she said, because I said, I've got a place, but I can't take you back there. And she said, well, we can go back to mine, but I can only do it certain times when my mum's not there, or whatever, someone's there. I think it was she had a bigger sister and that, and a brother, I think, and she said, we got on really well.
Okay.
And it ended up being like sexual, and it was very, but I was only young. She was
a young, attractive girl.
Yeah. I mean, I was only 22, and it was really nice. Yeah.
So tell me about. So we've looked at a picture of Yuli. What was your appearance like back then, though? So she's looking out of that window. What's she seeing? Do you want to tissue?
No, it just make me laugh. What I look like. How can I put it? John Travolta. No, is this John Travolta?
You've got the blue eyes.
I
Yeah?
had the hair all brushed back, clean shaven look, like with the hair all nicely coiffed and all that sort of thing. So I was.
So did you have dark black hair like?
No, not black. No, it's always been like
dark brown.
Yeah.
And when or did you ever come to hear about her violent passing?
I didn't. I'd never heard a thing. Was it in because I really didn't hear.
Okay.
And that was what was so shocking about it. I didn't hear that had happened.
Okay, because it was very big news at the time, as you can imagine.
I never. Mind you, having said that, there was no internet. There was no. Yeah. All you got, if you got the local paper, or if you got something, didn't really read a lot of it. Only read the sport. Typical bloke. Look at the sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Asad Ahmed. A man has been jailed for life after being found guilty of what was one of Scotland Yard's oldest unsolved murders. James Warnock will serve a minimum of 25 years for the rape and murder of Yiannoulla Yianni at her home in North London in the early 1980s. Well, Amelia Papadopoulos has been following today's proceedings in court. Amelia.
Yes, Assad. Well, just to remind you of a few of the details of this case, Yiannoulla Yianni, known to her friends and family as Lucy, was 17 when she was raped and brutally murdered while she was home alone at her family home in North London in 1982. Now, it took 34 years and more than 1,000 police interviews to find her killer, a man called James Warnock. Now, he was only found when he was arrested last year for sharing indecent images of children, and he was required to provide a DNA sample, and that sample matched the crime scene from 1982, and he'd initially denied all involvement, but today he appeared in court dressed in a black suit. He spoke only to confirm his name as he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 25 years for what the judge said was a cruel and brutal attack without mercy. The court also heard details of the terrifying ordeal that Yiannoulla went through, and of course it must have been an extremely distressing time for all of her family who were present in court for the sentencing today. And the Crown Prosecution Service had said that they were vital to this whole investigation.
Yiannoulla's father kept the police focused on looking at this case, and unfortunately he was not able to see the outcome of this case. However, her mother did give evidence, and it must have been very, very difficult for the family.
Amelia, what's been the reaction from Yiannoulla's family?
Well, Assad, as the sentence was passed down, they hugged each other. I also spoke to her brothers, Peter and Rick, outside court. They told me they were relieved that justice had finally been served, and they were also happy to be able to close this chapter of their lives, but did say how difficult these proceedings have been for them, and especially hard for their elderly mother, who also gave evidence. But what they want now is for people to remember Yiannoulla for who she was. They said she was a vibrant, kind and loving young woman who was adored by everyone she met. Assad.
OK, Amelia Papadopoulos at the Old Bailey.